What's up, guys? Let's go over how I break down competition footage. Let's get it. So I get this question all the time. How do I study jiu-jitsu? How do I break down footage? So I'm taking a clip out of the CJI. It's Owen Livesley, or Livesley, however you pronounce his name, versus Muhammad Ali, not the boxer, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy. And I've seen this match when the CJI originally came out, and I'm going to go through it with you guys right now. To start off, I'll go over how I actually go over footage. So first, I don't just press play and then full send the whole video, and then I'm like, wow, now I have all the information. It's in my big brainsicle. Time to go to jiu-jitsu and do it to everyone. That's not how it works. So I can sit here and watch jiu-jitsu footage because I love watching jiu-jitsu, but if I'm actually trying to study, it's not good to just come here and then press play on videos and then just like watch the entire fight and be like, yeah, I learned a lot from that. So what I like to do is I like to find action or submissions that have happened by spamming and going through the 5-second ticker by going through with my right arrow or like double clicking if I'm on my phone. And what I do is I skip through the video, skip through the video, skip through the video, and then all of a sudden both guys are on the ground or they're raising a guy's hand, and I'm like, uh-oh, I missed something. And then we back it up to before the action starts, and then I pay very close attention to the setups, to whatever it is. So I've seen this match before, this Owen Livesley, or Livesey, however you say his name, in Muhammad Ali. I've seen this before because I watched the CJI all the way through day one, but here's going to be a breakdown of how I would watch this if I was thinking about studying competition footage. Both of these guys have a judo background, both in nogi, so this is a great thing because I'm bad at judo, but I love practicing it. So both these guys have good nogi judo. So what I'm going to do is basically go through the video skipping, because I'm not wasting all my time watching hand fighting. If your goal is to get better at hand fighting, maybe study this. But even then, what I don't want to do is press play and then watch hand fighting that didn't lead to results. Maybe you can learn from that, but it's kind of difficult. I prefer to learn from the hand fighting that comes from the actual action. So, for example, I saw that they both ended up on the ground here. So now I'll play the clip after I back up 2 times and we'll watch what happened. Lots of stuff here. So even here, this isn't like an attempted thing that happened, and this is good to go over. So right here, Owen in the black, they're hand fighting, holding each other's hands. He's got a collar tie, double collar ties, and then he punches that really long, tight waist. He gets the arm all the way behind his waist, basically in a double underhooks position. But Muhammad Ali almost has an overhook, so we'll see what happens. As he's trying to circle around and get behind him, now Muhammad has a wrist. And now he leans in for that big Uchimata, and he doesn't get it. And now Owen goes for his own Uchimata. So both guys, again, judo backgrounds, both have Uchimata experience. Here's something to note that I wouldn't have noted the first time, is because I'm so tall, I always take the position that Muhammad has, where he has an overhook, and I always overhook people because they're easier to fish for rather than underhooks. I can usually just walk up to people and just reach over their shoulder, and I take that easy overhook. With Muhammad, he's the same. And Owen, he's getting better. He's better at digging underhooks. I never do Uchimatas off my underhook. So something I could start thinking about is looking for collar ties, double collar ties, pummeling underhooks, forcing the underhook to happen, and then start looking for Uchimata off the underhook. But again, I never do them. So this would be an easy example of, I watched this through already, and that's not something I would have picked up on, right? Doing the Uchimata off of an underhook, just not something I do. They end up standing back up. Again, I saw them on the ground. So again, so action happened, and now there's no action. Now they're hand fighting. So what am I doing? I'm spamming through the 5 seconds. 5 seconds. There was an attempted takedown here. I could watch this if I'm interested. That's basically what happened with the first clip. It was an attempted takedown. I thought it was an actual takedown, but still picked something up out of it, right? Looking for double collar tie, pummeling underhooks, and then I can fire my Uchimata from there. Right, even right here, they both have each other's, playing with each other's hands. Owen reaches for the big collar tie, still has the other hand. And then while Mohammed takes an over tie, right there on the head, he takes an over tie on the head. Owen blasts underneath him, going for single leg, double leg, whatever you want to call it. It gave him that opening because Mohammed was standing forward with his left leg and then his left arm reached for an overtie. So it made it an available takedown situation for Owen Livesley. Again, this is just things that I wouldn't have noticed or picked up from just sitting here and watching the whole thing. Also, these are 5-minute rounds, and now we're at minute 2, so it's still quicker than just watching, and I'm still picking things up from it. It ended up being a failed takedown, so again, we're skipping through. And again, there's nothing wrong with looking for how action happens. Ooh, this is a really good sequence. Does it lead to anything, though? I'm going to fast forward. Kind of, he got to the back. Okay, so because this is a really big sequence, he ends up getting to the back. So, again, they're hand fighting, holding each other's hands, collar tie. There's the over tie again, and look at that, he punched the underhook. Who would have known that he used the same thing multiple times in the match? Because he has his left leg forward, Mahammed does, and then he reaches for an over tie over the collar tie, and then Owen, every time he does that, Owen starts to punch for a tight waist, punch for that double, punch for the underhook, whatever it may be. So that's something to think about, is every time you collar tie someone, if they over tie you by reaching over your arm and grabbing your head, maybe that's your opportunity to pop the elbow, shoot underneath, or maybe that's your opportunity to punch an underhook or punch a double leg or whatever. So now we have, excuse me. So now we have an overhook, underhook position. Oh, such a good sequence. Okay, so this is one of the scenarios where, this is one of the scenarios where, because there's so much happening, it's good to slow this down. It's good to slow this down and really pay attention to what their feet are doing, to what their arms are doing. So again, Mahammed has an overhook here. Owen has his underhook. Again, they're both judo guys here. So a very common thing. So Mahammed steps in. He fakes the Uchimata, and then, or the big throw or hip toss, whatever it is. But they've already done multiple Uchimatas, so I'm just assuming it's going to be another Uchimata. He fakes the Uchimata by whipping his hips in front a little bit, and then he does a go behind, or what he could have done was like a Tani Otoshi, where he like drops behind him. Super common thing. It works really well if your opponent reacts. As he went for the hip toss, Owen bent his knees here, and because he bent his knees, that kind of like sets him lower and makes his hips drop backwards, making it so that if he were to have committed to that first throw, it wouldn't have worked, which is why the Tani Otoshi would be great here. But Mahammed reaches around his waist and plants his foot, whether that's because of what Owen did properly or Mahammed messed up, or, you know, Mahammed's better than me. Maybe he had something in plan here. But what I would have done was drop straight behind him, extending my leg, and then sending us both backwards over Mahammed's left shoulder, over Owen's right shoulder here, instead of planting the foot. Because the second you plant, you're still susceptible to being reversed, which is what happened here. Is Owen, again, with that underhook Uchimata. See, now there's something I'm taking away from this just off of making this video is, man, I need to punch more underhooks and look for Uchimatas off of that and start playing with that, because that's not something I do, and it's an area that I can improve in. He whips with the Uchimata. They kind of go to like half guard to like, he elevates him overhead, kind of to deep half almost, and then he swings him all the way up, and he comes up on a single leg. And I think they battle here for a little bit, where they don't move. Okay, and now again, see, I'm skipping, and then I back up a little bit. Because again, I didn't pre-watch this fight. Well, I did the first time I saw the, you know what I mean. I didn't pre-watch this in preparation for the video. I'm just watching this and reacting to it live, watching it the second time, breaking it down. So, Mahammed has a single leg. How does he finish the single leg? He grabs Owen's wrist, and then look, he shuffles backwards here. He has a wrist grip, he shuffles backwards, and as he's shuffling backwards, he releases the wrist, clubs the fucking shit out of his head and his ear here for a huge collar tie. He punched him basically, which is great. This is CGI, it's for $1 million, you know, they're in a big boy brackets. And he sends his head down over the leg like he was running the pipe, like finishing a traditional single leg, just collecting the leg to his chest and just swinging to the outside. But instead of just doing that with both hands, he backs up with the wrist. He releases the wrist when he's ready. He clubs the head, and then he swings at the same time Instead of getting the regular takedown, Owen turns belly down, making it so that he won't end up in closed guard and having Mahammed have a great takedown from there. He's going to hopefully scramble out of turtle. So now I'll play it in regular speed because we don't know what happens after this. Could be nothing. They sit here for a sec. See, I can still skip forward. Posting on the knee, that's something I do all the time that I picked up from watching competition footage. If you guys don't, if you're standing and you're in this 4-point contact where someone's behind you and you have both hands touching the mat and both feet, you do this so you don't get mat returned. If he stands straight up, he's going to get mat returned. Something very common that I picked up from competitors like Owen, like John Carlo from New Wave and John Danaher's school is when you're in this 4-point position, you're leaning forward, you reach back with your hand and you post your hand on their knee so that they can't step in and attack you. He did that briefly here. Again, not too much happening. See, again, posting on that knee. He's even doing it here in turtle. Sometimes I'll do this before I try to Granby roll or hit a shoulder roll to escape the turtle position. And the round gets reset. And again, you can listen to commentators or enjoy the fight, but because they get reset and there's 3 rounds in CJI, what are we doing? They're still standing. Again, you can watch the hand fighting battle if you're really interested in that, how they're pummeling their underhooks and overhooks or how they're countering it or defending it. That's great, and I do that all the time. But when I'm like really looking for something, like maybe I wanted to pick something up today from like the judo perspective, like I said, these guys are both judo guys. They like to do big throws. The fake throw and go behind, I need to do that more often. I telegraph my throws too much. And then trying to do uchimatas off the underhook, that's something I picked up from Owen, and that's something I picked up from Mahammed. So both things. And then other things that kind of like re-solidify like things in my brain, like posting on the knee. When someone's behind you and you're standing, like even the great guys are doing it. So in theory, it seems to be a good strategy. Yeah, same thing with this whole over tie, collar tie. And then Owen is going to pummel an underhook. Yeah, so 3 times so far that's happened in this match. Again, something I would not have noticed. And I didn't notice until watching it this time, where every single time Owen grabs a collar tie and then Mahammed reaches over the collar tie and grabs the back of Owen's head. Owen pummels an underhook or a tight waist or a single leg or whatever. So definitely something to keep out for and or to keep a lookout for. And even though people don't overtime you often, I use the overtie all the time. Definitely something for me to watch out for because I play very similar to Mahammed. Again, just trying to pick up small things from this this footage. If I'm curious about how he got him into the headlock, they're in the over-under position. And he really just reaches up and pulls with his overhook. Oh no, he has double underhooks here. There's just a shallow double underhooks into the head position. So into a little snap down. They escape. See here, he gets him. What does he get him with? And never mind, he pulled guard. So overall, a lot of action happening in this fight. But if I would have watched it from start to finish with no skipping or anything, I might not have picked up on some of those small details without going back and forth through the video, without slowing the video down during that crazy exchange with the Tani Atoshi attempt, the go-behind attempt, the fake hip toss to that, the way that they do uchimatas off the underhook. Like, in my head, I'd probably just look at it and think, ooh, underhook, or ooh, uchimata. Like, I wouldn't correlate the two things perfectly. So now I saw a takedown. So again, I was skipping through. I saw that they ended up on the ground. So we'll watch the setup again. Owen's looking for underhooks, collar tie, over tie, body lock. Wow. 4th time now that this has happened in the video where Owen goes collar tie, Mahammed goes over tie, and then he immediately pummels a body lock or an underhook or a shot. So I get, in theory, if I was like an omniscient being and I was Mahammed's coach, I'd be like, stop overtying him, stop it, because he keeps getting in on body locks and underhooks. So something to watch out for, because again, I play like Mahammed because I'm tall. I'm 6'4", so I like those overhooks. I like those overties, so something for me to watch out for. So he gets that underhook, gets a body lock, pushes him up against the ramp, tries to shuck to the back. Mahammed fakes. Pummels an underhook. Good, and then he gets this takedown. So I never do this takedown, so this is something that I'm going to slow down to try to watch. Custom here. Okay. And I get hit with it sometimes, so let's see what happens. So Mahammed kind of has a whizzer, and then he pummels a really shallow underhook. And then Owen moves. Okay, so on the side that he has his head on, he steps behind with the near side leg, and then he twists all the way to the point where his knees and toes are facing the same direction as Mahamed's, and then does more of like a traditional like standing Taniatoshi where it's like, or a backdrop, valley drop, and gets him down. So again, not something I do often. Something I need to work on is whenever I pummel underhooks, he stepped in and twisted all the way almost until his knees, his chest, and his head are all facing the same direction as Mahammed. And then we play it, and then he drops back, shelving his knee under the back, or his upper thigh and knee under the back of Mahamed's knee here. So again, something great that I don't do, that's something to work on for me, is when I pummel underhooks, if someone gives me that inside leg, is to hook the leg and spin around until we're both almost facing the same direction. And now we can shelve our knee under them and twist backwards for that big Taniatoshi. So again, not something I would have picked up. I would have just been like, oh, he got the body lock. Ooh, he got him with a body lock. But breaking it down like that, I was able to actually pay attention and figure out what was happening. Again, nothing's really happening, so here I am waiting. Skipping, skipping, skipping. If I was curious about how they got out of closed guard, I could have stopped it for that, but right now I'm not. Again, these guys are both judo guys, and that is round 3, the end of round 3 for them. So, and then it ends up with, if you're curious and haven't seen it before, look at this. We can even do it with the results. Boom. We skip through and then we watch at regular speed. If I need to see what special happens with anything, all you have to do is slow the video down and go through it just like that. So this was me breaking down the match between Owen Livesley and Muhammad Ali in the CJI for day 1. I just wanted to show you guys how, I guess, my mind works with these videos, where it's, instead of just pressing play and watching the video all the way through, I press play and then I start spamming the right arrow key or the right side of my screen on my phone when I'm trying to study footage to like pick up tips and tricks from videos. And then I spam it until I see some action, like they're in a different position now, and it's like, oh, okay, something big happened here. Let's go back, watch at regular speed. If it's something I already do or I already know how it's done or whatever, or it's the exact same thing I do or what be it, then I'll just go through it and then I'll spam again, go into back my right arrow button or my right side of my phone. But if I don't know what's happening, or maybe it's new, or I really am just trying to study it to double check, once the action happens, I back it up, I watch it in regular speed, and then I'll back it up again and I'll slow it down to 0.25. I'll watch it and I'll pay close attention to what all 4 of their limbs are doing, what their feet positioning is, what the setup to the position was, right? All those body locks and underhooks that Owen was getting, he got 4 in this match that we saw. All of them were because he collar tied and Muhammad Ali overtied. And off the overtie, Owen shot in for the underhook or the body lock or the shot. So he punished him for something because he was stepping with his left leg forward and overtying with his left arm. So if you guys want me to break down any other videos, let me know in the comments. And as always, till next time, let's get it.